So when it comes to having a business, right? How do you balance your business and your personal life? Because I feel like it's all converging in one place.
It takes a lot of work, man. It takes a lot of work. It takes good habits, you know, how to separate it, but keep it close.
Yeah.
You know, I'm figuring it out one day at a time, you know, and it's like, I just have to, I think it's just checking in with yourself, you know, cause sometimes it gets crazy and you don't have the ability to really separate it, you know, like when there's on the business side, you know, when there's a few surprises, you know, all in the same time, you know, and your business partner is your spouse, your wife, you know, and you're trying to like create those boundaries where it's like, okay, like once we're down at the dinner table, like we can't talk about work anymore, you know, like, but sometimes you're feeling like, oh, it's dinner time and we do want to talk about work. We're feeling open to it. The energy's there, you know. I just have to break it up with other like hobbies and pastimes that matter a lot to me, you know. So I try to make sure that I don't lose, you know, and I'm pretty good at this. I'm not gonna lie. Like prioritizing like the things that I care about for me, you know. Snowboarding this time of year is like the main thing that I'm like, okay, like I know I have to work a bunch, but I'm keeping my eye on the forecast to see like when the right time to go is, you know.
Yeah.
Trying to make sure I'm still grocery shopping and not just, you know, grabbing, you know, whatever the healthiest, you know, like, you know, taco, you know, like, you know, a few tacos on the way home, and just being intentional with my food, being intentional, you know, getting to the gym, all that kind of stuff, breaking up the habits.
I want to pick on one thing you said. I think a lot of people struggle with this, and I just saw the ease of you saying, I got that. I think a lot of people struggle with figuring out what to prioritize with having, you know, marriage, life, lofty goals, all the things. How do you prioritize and make sure that you're prioritizing the right things?
So I have struggled with this at times. I mean, like I always like make sure that I'm doing those few things that I like, but like I'm so busy sometimes that I could be firing on 100%, and there's still stuff getting left, you know? So what I've started this year was kind of my resolution, which I usually don't do, is I started a bullet journal.
Bullet journal.
Yeah. So it's like a type of journaling that, you know, is fairly popular, where it's not a diary, you know, it's not a simple journal. It's like kind of like breaking down your year and your calendars. And like, so I'm like setting goals and kind of trying to track them through the months so that I don't lose track of things. Cause there's things that I really want to accomplish, you know, and there's things that I really want to like experience that if I just do it when I get to it without any kind of like structure to getting there, I'll miss out on a lot of stuff that I want to do, you know, and you know, it's not like by putting it in this book, it magically happens, but it helps you to kind of like, you're like, oh, I'm going to go back to the page and review where I'm at. Oh, there's that. I want to go on, you know, 2-night solo camping trip, you know, I want to make sure I do that. Okay. Start looking at weekends, you know, instead of just like waiting to be like, oh, maybe I could do that next weekend. Oh no, I'm busy. Maybe I could do that next weekend. Oh no, I'm busy. You know, like really prioritizing those things that, you know, that are the things that pass through your brain, you know, that come up in those free moments when you're thinking about what you want to do for yourself. Right. And putting those things down on paper so they don't just exist as this thing that's like what's separating you from the life you want to live, you know, because sometimes there's those things that you're like, oh, if I was really living the life that I want to live, I would be doing this year. Make it happen. Put it on the paper. Try your best to like set a time for it. Set the steps between here and there that you need to take so that you're ready for it. Okay. So it's not as stressful, you know, because sometimes, you know, you can get overwhelmed with, you know, preparation, overwhelmed with the cost, you know, budgeting for it, all that kind of stuff.
No, I appreciate that. I'm a bullet journal. I literally have never heard of that as a person who prescribes people to like journal, but I try to not say journal because sometimes journaling can have a stigma to it, and likely in a bad way because people hear that, oh, your therapist is going to tell you write your things down. I always say keep a ledger on you, and then if something happens, write it down, because when you write things down more,
Right.
it becomes more reality.
Right.
I just really like the framing of like a bullet journal.
Right. So bullet meaning that it's like a graph paper, but instead of like lines, it's like the dots. So that you can kind of free form design it.
Oh, that's great. Hey,
Yeah.
you might like something like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
No, he's a great artist. This
Cool.
guy.
Yeah. I think, you know, because like, well, do you like how I said not a diary?
Yeah.
I even have some stigma, you know, about writing in a diary myself, because I'm like, you know, I don't want to just like go off on a tangent on my own stuff. You know, like, I mean, I have a therapist as well, and you know, she can hear me go out on tangent about everything I have going on in my life or whatever.
You're
but
totally fine.
yeah, but like for some reason, like the structure of like a goal oriented journal, you know, kind of like hit with me when I learned about it. So I've been working on it. You know, like there's been a couple weeks where I like didn't get to it as much, but I try to go in and kind of like keep track of some of my habits, make sure I'm, you know, like, you know, cooking at home this many days a week and going to the gym this many days a week, and just kind of like keeping track and seeing what I want to like get closer to.
I say this: if you post on Instagram, especially on a story, it's a diary. So
right.
I'll be saying this to myself.
Right.
If you post on Instagram or TikTok, it's a diary.
Except for people reply to it. I put one political thing up, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh my gosh, you know.
My intrusive thoughts are real people.
Yeah.
Now, I have one last question.